Hi there, dance studio owners, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Transform My Dance Studio podcast with CEO and founder of the Dance Studio Owners Association, Clint Salter. Over the coming weeks, we are delighted to be sharing with you a rare opportunity to listen in on Clint's online Coach-A-Thon series. During this two-part special of Transform My Dance Studio, join Clint as he workshops innovative ideas and solutions around 4 places to market your studio to increase your enrollments. How to stand out from your competition, the biggest marketing mistakes studio owners are making, and so much more gold for your dance studio in 2020 and beyond. We hope you enjoy today's special episode. And make sure to join our free Facebook group, the Dance Studio Owners Hub, for more resources and support in growing the dance studio of your dreams.
Hello there, dance studio owners. Hello. Hope you are so well. Welcome. I am so excited to have everyone here today. Welcome to a brand new week. Happy Monday. As it is the first day, I thought it would be a great idea to share with you really the 6 pillars of success when it comes to building or rebuilding your studio in this world that we're currently in, which is the COVID-19 era. Over the last 5 or so months, I have seen the devastating, if I'm being completely honest, the devastating impact that COVID has left on our industry. But during this time, I have seen some studios really skyrocket and have great success. Yes, their business looks very different to it did at the beginning of February, but they have been able to adapt and most importantly, been able to focus. And with the members that I work with daily inside of our inner circle, I've seen with those members their level of commitment and focus that has allowed them to continue making it through this time and not only survive, but some of them also thriving as well in a time that is very challenging for our entire industry. And so I'm here to say to you that it can happen, guys. You can definitely be running a successful dance studio during this time, but it's going to take a lot of change. It's going to take you to be adaptable. It's going to take you to listen. Look, I know there's people that have thrown their hands up in the air and said, look, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I've been running my studio 20, 30 years, maybe even 5 years. I want to do in person. I'm only doing in person. I'm not doing Zoom. I'm not doing online. This is not what dance is about. And I'm here to tell you, if that is your outlook, well, you are going to be left behind, unfortunately, because this has shifted our industry and it will shift our industry forever. There is no going back to normal. There's going back to a new and exciting way for us to share our talents and share our passion. And that is 100% going to be inside of the studio. Nothing is never going to beat. I know I miss it. I miss getting into a room, being with people physically and moving. Nothing is ever going to beat that experience. I am not saying that, but I'm here to tell you that there's going to be lots of different experiences, both virtual and in studio, that you're going to be able to create for your customers that's going to allow you to generate revenue, generate profit, and provide a lot of value to your community. And that's where our industry is going. But you need to be ready to change. You need to be ready to be able to train your team members on changing and adapting, as well as the way to communicate to your customers to be able to take them along on this journey as well. So what we're going to do now is we are going to dive in right now, and I am going to share with you really the 6 core pillars that you need to be focusing on when it comes to building out this successful dance studio. And when I say successful, I'm really talking about you being able to sustain the level of, or not drop when it comes to the income and the profitability that you're making in your business by delivering value to your customers. Because here's the thing. You do not get paid unless you deliver value, right? First and foremost, you do not get paid, and you would all know this, unless you deliver value. So there are really six core things, and I'm going to start with 3. So when I cover these, this is really the whole core of your dance studio. These 6 pillars are the core of your dance studio. So you need to be ensuring that you're constantly thinking about these 6 pillars, that you're aware of them, that you may be working on them every now and again, or completely focused on them for a 30-day period. It's hard to juggle all of these balls in the air at the same time, working on them evenly. That doesn't exist. But, when I teach our 90-day planning process and our 30-day planning process, where we get 3 goals to achieve every 30 days or every quarter, we really select a couple of these areas only to focus on, and the rest stay humming along. It's kind of like in maintenance mode. So let's dive in and talk a little bit about these. So the first thing, and really, it's the thing I don't talk about a huge amount, because I feel like as studio owners who invest and learn with us in our inner circle or our student attraction intensive program, you already have this pillar down. You're thinking about it. You started your dance studio because of it, and then we help you fill in the gap. So we're going to start here. And this is around your programs and products. So I want you to write this down. Programs and products. Excuse my handwriting. But programs and products is the first thing that we need to focus on. Now, here's the kicker. This used to be the thing that we knew like the back of our hand. We could go in there with our lesson plan for 6 and under jazz, and we could like smash that out. I know I could if it was a jazz technique class, and probably a little older. Wasn't great with the young ones, but kind of loved that 8 to 14-year-old age group and really loved that senior age group. But we could go in there and deliver. Now, what COVID has done and gone, hang on a second, you need to change the way you teach. You need to change the way that you think about lesson plans. You need to think about the way that you think about engagement inside of the classroom, because everything went virtual very, very quickly. And so when we're talking about programs and products, it is the dance classes that you're offering, how you're teaching them, the programming you have in place. And now there's this huge engagement piece, because people have been saying, Clint, everyone's fatigued doing Zoom. They're actually not fatigued. It's just that probably you're kind of over it. Probably your teachers are over it. And there's no inspiration or creativity coming into the virtual classroom. So your kids are getting over it. I see some of our members who are thriving, still running their virtual studios that they've been doing since the end of March and doing extremely well, increasing their enrollment into their virtual classes, running different structured virtual classes. So they've got their regular schedule going, but some people are doing like 4 and 6 week intensive online programs around a specific skill set for a genre or a style. So it's getting creative around how are you engaging them online, because if you're picking up your dance classes of what they were in person and you're transferring them over to inline and saying to your teachers, okay, teach the same thing, you probably won't be overly successful in terms of being able to keep those students on board. And your teachers will probably burn out because they're like in front of the camera and they don't have any resources to help them be great on camera, and also to be engaged, and also to be able to look after themselves in between. It's very different teaching online to a camera like I'm doing to you right now. I present very differently here than what I do when I'm on a stage. If you saw me at Dance Studio Domination, or you're one of our inner circle members that get to see me a bunch of times during the year, it's very different. It's the same with our classes. So have a think for a second. On a scale of 1 to 10, currently, how would you rate your programs and products that you're offering your customers? A 1 being haven't adapted, have just like put my stuff online, haven't really given too much thought about it. And a 10 being that you've really, really thought about it. You've mapped out your classes. You've changed your classes to adapt to the online environment. So let me know in the comment section, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give yourself? A number 1, no focus, no energy, no time around it. Number 10, like nailing it, smashed it. The team are on board. You've been really delivering a great experience. People haven't left your studio. You've retained at least 90% of your students. What would you give yourself? Let me know in the comment section what would you rate yourself from a 1 to a 10? And that's around our products and our programs. I do want to say to you, we used to deliver group classes in person, right? Now there are about 7 ways that you can deliver value. 7 ways that you can deliver value. So we've gone from just group classes, right? And you were doing other things as well. But when it comes to what you're selling, group classes, now there are 7 things that you can offer. The second pillar you need to focus on is people and leadership. Now, who would agree that when COVID hit and we had to transition online, it really showed us who were the team members that were team players, that were committed to our vision, that were like ready to roll up their sleeves and work with us and be amendable and adaptable and just like get in there and do what needed to be done. We all had those team members, right? But we probably also had some team members who resisted and who were like, well, that's not what I do. Like, that's not part of my job. Like, I don't want to teach dance online. And that was an interesting period to go through because it really helped us gain clarity around who are the right team members for us and who aren't the right team members for us. And the work that I did with our members and our program members is that everyone said, you know what, Clint, those people that weren't on board were the ones that I've been like battling with over these last 12 or 18 months, thinking to myself, well, they're not a great fit, but I need them to teach that class. And I don't want them to leave and go somewhere else. And so naturally, COVID has been devastating, but it has also given us some blessings. And one of those blessings is really recognizing those team members that are superstars, that are part of our mission, that want to join us on this journey. And then those team members who maybe aren't the right fit anymore or we need to adjust their position. And so what COVID really has done is called on you as studio owners to step up. And I always say, step up and become the CEO of your studio, right? It's one of the things that I love teaching. It's one of the theories and one of the principles that we share a lot in our inner circle. And this is about stepping up and really, truly becoming a leader. And what COVID has called for is for all of you to step up. I mean, I'm sure you have made decisions and you are doing things that you never thought you would do as a leader. And COVID has stretched you into becoming the CEO if you have allowed it. I've seen people that put their head in the sand, that really did nothing, that closed their dance studio and said, you know what, I'll open, we're closed for now. We'll open back up in a couple of weeks when we can go back to dance classes. Well, that was in March. That's March, April, May, June, July. 5 months later, still closed. A lot of those studios out of business, unfortunately. And that's heartbreaking. But they put their head in the sand, ignored what was going on, didn't seek out help, didn't become a part of a coaching program or seek out mentors or wisdom. And unfortunately, those studios aren't around. And what I have loved seeing, though, are the studio owners who have put up their hand and said, now is my time to shine. My community need me. My team need me. My students, our dance families, they need me to step up and be the CEO. And to be the CEO and a successful CEO during COVID, you have had to communicate in a way that is extremely well thought out and intentional. I have seen those studios that have sent out communication. I've seen it on Facebook and I close my eyes and go, oh my goodness, I wish you would have asked for help. I wish you would have been a part of our programs, or you just said, posted in the hub. It's a free group. Hey guys, what do you think of this email? I need some guidance. Because the way you share and communicate to your customers has been a huge reason why some studios have been able to swim during this time, and some studios have sunk during this time, and they've lost students, and parents have said, you know what, we'll come back when you reopen in the fall. But you can avoid that with communication. You can avoid that with the programs and products that you offer to fully align with what your customers are after, right? So that is key. So when you think about pillar number 2, which is people and leadership, how are you going to rate yourself? Now, this is honesty time, guys. This isn't like, oh, I'm going to show everyone I'm a 9 or a 10. You need to get honest with yourself, because if you are not honest with yourself now, the rest of the year isn't going to look very good. If you keep doing what you have been doing for these last 5 months, and I'm sure everyone sees room for improvement of how to run their business, you want to make sure that you are honest with yourself so we can kind of have a clean slate. Let's start a new chapter together over these next 10 days, and then also in the Student Attraction Challenge that I hope you've registered for starting on August 3rd. It's free. It's another free training. But how would you rate yourself as a leader? Have you been transparent? Have you been intentional? Or have you been reactive? Have you been like, oh my goodness, I've got to send out an email. Oh no, now my plans have changed, and they've changed again and again and again. Have you found it uncomfortable to be patient and wait? Because that's what has this been a lesson in patience and waiting? Oh, yes, it has. And for someone who's a planner and likes control, it's very, very tricky. And so have you been patient though and sat back? It's a lot of work in the inner circle when we've been mapping out the different scenarios. Here is scenario A, B, C, and D. These 4 things could be the thing that you press go on in the next month. Let's just wait. Let's keep our customers. Let's keep communicating to our customers. Let's keep delivering value to our customers. But on the side, behind the scenes, we're planning what are the options that we might need to press the green button on. So I see some good scores here. 8, 7, and I shouldn't say good because like every score is good because it's like just your starting point, right? But if anything, you probably know now that to move up to this next stage, leadership has to be at the core of what you're doing as well, right? And guys, don't forget, 5 days of deep dive training. This is, what we're doing over these 10 days, 15, 20 minutes. I've already gone 22 minutes here. I can't keep to time. But these next 10 days that we're spending together inside of the Coach-A-Thon is to give you the foundation and the concepts that you need. And then for the Student Attraction Challenge, which is our 5-day training, every day with me, we do an hour training and then a 30 to 40 minute Q&A session in the afternoon where I'm going to dive deep into all of these principles and teach you around how do you feel your virtual and in-person studios? How do you get your team on board? And also, how do you put the right business model in place when we have studios that are closed and you can only have a couple of people in there, and then there's this virtual thing going on, and how do you really take your virtual experience to the next level? That's what we're doing inside of the Student Attraction Challenge. So again, I want to point you over here to dsoa.com/challenge, dsoa.com/challenge. Register for the free challenge. Again, guys, I'm giving you a bunch of free training because you need it at the moment, and I've recognized that, and so I've come back to help you. I helped you at the beginning of COVID. I want to help you survive this period and then really ride the wave of the rebound that's going to be happening in the next few months. And so this last piece, number 3, is one of my favorite pieces. You guys know that I love this, and it's sales and marketing. Sales and marketing. This is core. This is about how do you attract, enroll, and retain students. This is a new conversation. You may have heard me say those words before. Hands up. Has anyone? Let me know in the comment section. Have you ever heard me say attract, enroll, and retain students? I'm sure you have. It is not a new conversation. I've been having this conversation really since I was born. I love it. I love this topic. And this is what our Student Attraction Challenge is all about, our 5-day challenge. But the way that we market our studio it's changing every day anyway because of social media and online platforms, but it has shifted. It has shifted. The words that we use, the copy that we write, the imagery that we write, the offers that we do, come in for a free trial class. not as effective anymore. And so I've been working with our members over these last couple of months, and I've created a new system on how you market your in-person and virtual studio. Because my friends, that's what you're running now. If you want to be in this game for longer, you're running a virtual studio and an in-person studio. And so the way we market, the way we attract students, enroll students, and especially retain students is very, very different. And so I want you to let me know in the comment section, how are you going to rate yourself? How well have you done in attracting new students and enrolling students and retaining your existing students over these last 5 months? One being, Clint, I'm being honest, not very good. I've been too focused on figuring out what I need to do that I haven't put any attention on enrolling new students, attracting them, and we've lost a bunch of students, right? Or at 10, you've smashed it. You've re-enrolled your students, you've kept them dancing in your virtual studio, and you've got a bunch of new students coming into your studio. Where do you sit when it comes to sales and marketing in this COVID-19 era on a scale of 1 to 10? This is honesty time. And guys, when you join us in the Student Attraction Challenge, remember, it's a free 5-day training starting on the 3rd of August in a couple of weeks. I'm going to dive really, really deep into how to do this piece especially. Okay, these kind of look like the lowest scores we've had today, actually. Awesome work, Sharon, but we've got some 3s, some 4s, some 3s, 6s, a 7. Kathy's saying attract and enroll 1, retention 9. And so that's the thing. You got to be an 8 or a 9 in all of the categories because you can retain them and that's fantastic and I want you to retain them. But you didn't need to be bringing new people in. Because the other thing is if they've left you, right, during this transition, they may have gone somewhere else and started doing virtual classes somewhere else. It's going to be a lot harder for you to get them back. It's Clint Salsi here, founder of the Dance Studio Owners Association, and welcome to day number 2 of our Coach-A-Thon, where for 10 days, I am helping you to survive and get through this period and be very, very prepared for the rebound that is going to be happening within our industry. So what we went through yesterday is I talked about there are 6 core pillars when it comes to running a successful dance studio. And I've taught these pillars for the last 6 years with our Inner Circle members and our program members in our Student Attraction Intensive or Studio Success Formula. And so I'm sharing with you these pillars during our Coach-A-Thon and how you can really adapt them and take them on board to be able to help you during this time where running a dance studio is very, very different. Who would have thought in January of 2020, it was 2020, we were all excited, new year, new you, new business. This was going to be your year, but the world had and the universe had some different plans for us. But COVID has presented us with some challenges, of course, but also some blessings and some opportunities. And I truly, truly believe that our industry, the dance studio industry, is one where a lot of innovation has happened due to COVID-19 and will continue to happen because of COVID-19. This is also given our consumers, our customers, our dance parents, our students an opportunity to really think about how do they want to experience their dance classes moving forward. And so yesterday we went through your programs and products and I talked about on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself? How quickly have you adapted? Have you just copied and pasted your in-person experience and just put it virtually and said, there you go, this is what we're doing? Or have you really created a separate offering with your virtual studio that customers are coming to, that you're retaining students? Customers aren't getting bored. They aren't getting burnt out. They aren't getting disengaged. And so I got you to give us a rating, or give yourself a rating to share with us on a scale of 1 to 10 around programs and products. We also talked about people and leadership. How has your communication been during this time? How have you communicated with your team? How have you mentored your team in this new normal? Or did you say, okay, guys, we're putting our classes online, just keep doing your thing, right? Because we know if we did that and we didn't spend the time working with our faculty and our teachers and our staff to understand this new way to do business, we know that there would have been a lot of resistance there, and probably teachers teaching classes where they weren't able to retain the students because they didn't have the skill set or really the mindset that they needed to be able to be successful in that very different role. It's very different teaching in person than it is virtually in a virtual classroom. And the last piece we touched on yesterday, which was phase number 3, point number 3, is sales and marketing. There is no reason that your studio shouldn't have grown in numbers when it comes to your virtual studio, because now you have a marketplace that isn't just in your immediate area, but you can go wide and far with marketing your virtual classes. And so we talked a little bit about that yesterday. And I did invite you all to join us in our Student Attraction Challenge. And you can see the URL there. If you didn't already join us, now's your time, dsoa.com/challenge. This is a free 5-day challenge where I'm going to spend an hour every day doing a deep dive training on the core pieces that you need to know when it comes to attracting, enrolling, and retaining your students in this new normal. So the way that I was teaching marketing last year has completely changed, because now we need to think about your virtual studio as well as your in-person studio with limited numbers. So not only am I going to be teaching you marketing, I'm also going to be sharing with you in this free challenge the business model that you need to be running, because people are trying to run their same business model that they were in 2019. That doesn't work anymore. And if you are trying to run that model, you may end up not having a studio. And unfortunately, that's just a sad fact. We have seen it. I see at least one dance studio closing down forever, for real, every single day. We get emails every single day of people reaching out for help because they can't afford their bills to pay their rent or their team, and they've got no students. There is a new way to run a successful dance studio virtually and in person, even with smaller numbers. And I'm going to be walking you through that business model in our Student Attraction Challenge. So if you haven't signed up, jump over there. The URL is on the screen, dsoa.com/challenge. Now, let's jump in and talk about these other 3 core pillars that I'm going to walk you through today. So number 4, if you're filling in at home, is operations and execution. Execution. There we go. Let's try and get the spelling right for a Tuesday. Operations and execution. Now, this is how you essentially take action every single day inside of your studio. When we're talking about operations, we are talking about planning. How are you planning? What's your 90-day planning process like? What's your 30-day planning process like? Are you following that currently? And you may be saying to yourself, like, Clint, how can I follow a planning process when everything's changing every hour? The way that you plan is slightly shifted, because now instead of just having plans, we have multiple scenarios, 3 to 5 scenarios that we have to map out for every single project. So when you're looking at your fall schedule, for instance, you've got to map out, what does this look like if it's purely online? What does it look like if there's a hybrid model? What does it look like if we're running private lessons, hybrid model with group classes online, small group classes, intensive classes in person with no more than 10? What does that look like? And I'm going to go through all of that in the challenge. But when it comes to planning and executing, not only do you have one plan now, you probably have 3 to 5, and you'll press go on one of those plans depending on what's happening in your city or your county. So whereas beforehand, my whole thing is you have 3 goals every single quarter, 3 goals every 30 days is what we talk about in the inner circle, Well, now you have those 3 goals, but you have different scenarios that you need to lay out for each of those goals. If you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants a little bit during this period, you are probably feeling very, very overwhelmed. You have a lack of clarity, and you may be placing a little bit of blame on, what the government's doing or what your local community is doing. And while, yes, there are a lot of things that are out of your control at the moment, there are a lot of things that are in your control. You mapping out these scenarios is in your control. You creating systems for your virtual studio is in your control. You mapping out the different schedules for fall, that's in your control. But I've seen people be paralyzed by what's going on outside of them, and they don't take action. And that's what we really want to avoid. There's a lot of action that you could be taking. We just need to make sure that it's the right type of action for the time that we are in. So that's operations and execution. It's firmly planted in systems and processes. Systems and processes. You've heard me talk a lot about that. I'm going to be sharing actually in our Student Attraction Challenge with you some of the marketing systems as well as the re-registration, re-enrollment systems that you can be using now inside of your studio. So let's move on to this next piece, which is 5. I'm going to put this all in capitals. Finance. Let's get a C in there. Finances. Now, my friends, this is a big one. I feel like we're going to need to have a conversation around this one. COVID has, when we did our survey in April, it showed us that in the dance studio industry, 92% of dance studios had taken a hit financially due to COVID. Those other 8% of people, you're like, well, what's the other 8% of people doing? Well, they were able to generate more new students in their virtual studio, and they were able to keep at least 90%, most of them are around 96% of their students into their virtual studio, so they didn't lose income. Some even did better when it came to the income that they generated. It was only a small percentage, but some people did it, which shows you that you can achieve that, right? So when it comes to our finances, you may be going through your savings at the moment. Maybe the loans that you applied for and got approved for, maybe you have spent that money. But here's what I know, not enough studio owners are putting their intention and their action on profitability at the moment, right? And I'm not talking about revenue. I'm talking about profitability. And for those savvy studio owners that I've seen create amazing experiences through their virtual studios, they're doing very well from a profit standpoint because they are attracting many new students into their summer camps, for instance, that they're running online or into their virtual studios. So what you need to be looking at the moment is your profit. Where are you generating profitability? Because some of you are spending time, way too much time, on things that are not driving revenue. They may be nice ideas, but they are not retaining your customers. They might be nice ideas, but they are not generating new students into your studio. And as a studio owner who is going through a pandemic, about 60 to 70% of your time should be focused on student retention as well as student attraction. You are the main person that is responsible for bringing in revenue and generating profit in your studio. It's no one else's job to solely look after that piece of the business. That is the role of the CEO. That is your role. Aside from profitability, we need to be looking at our expenses. I see a lot of people renovating, painting during this time. Guys, what you need to be looking at is, yes, lowering your expenses, but investing in those things that are going to get you through this. So when we think of, okay, what's going to get me through this? What's going to help me with my profitability? You should be investing in marketing. You should be investing in education. You should be investing in mentors or coaches that can help you get through this period so that you can get through it. You should not be wasting money on recovering a couch or laying down new carpet if you hadn't budgeted for that. Cash is king at the moment, and so you want to be keeping your cash but you also want to be generating more cash into your business. I ran a whole lot of different trainings early when COVID happened around expenses and negotiations with landlords and that type of thing. So I definitely go back and look at that kind of bigger Q&A in the Rise webinar that I did. Things have shifted slightly since then. I mean, everything is changing very frequently at the moment. But really kind of take a moment and think to yourself, okay, am I focusing on my finances? Am I just kind of wandering around saying I don't have any money, or am I actually doing something about it? Have I learned about Facebook ads? Have I learned about where I should be marketing my virtual classes? Have I learned about partnerships with local businesses for our summer camps? These are all things that we've been working with our members on. And I want to make sure that what you're working on is truly, truly contributing to the sustainability and the success of your studio. Right? That's where your time and energy should be during a pandemic as the CEO of your studio. So guys, jump in the comment section and let me know on a scale of 1 to 10, how successful have you been with the Department of Finances over these last 4 months? Have you been truly, and be honest to yourself, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I've been the CEO, I've been focused on profitability, I've been working 60 to 70% of my time on income generating activities. Is that you, or you're down a bit around like maybe 1 to 3 where you haven't really given it the attention that you should have been giving it? So let me know in the comment section. Scale of 1 to 10, what is your number? Be honest here. Pop it in the comments. And lastly here, number 6 is all about, wait for this one. This is all about you, right? Number 6 is all about you. And you might be thinking, me, haven't really had much time to focus on me. I always say, if you don't work, nothing does. And during the last 4 months, this has certainly been the case. I've seen people fall apart because they haven't been looking after themselves. And you can only be in driver mode for so long before your adrenaline just wears out and you get burned out. And I don't want that for anyone. You know, I said to all of our Inner Circle members, hey guys, July, take time off. We've got people taking 2 weeks off, a week off as their business continues to run. But I've said to all of them, you need to prepare yourself for the new season because this is going to be a tough season. You are going to need to be more focused on student acquisition and retention than you have ever been in your life if you want your business to survive. You need to be putting finance at, the very top of the list in those first kind of 5 categories. Finance needs to be up there because here's the thing. You can't keep impacting your community and your dancers if you don't have money, right? If you don't have money, you can't do any of the stuff that you want to do for your local community. So you need to focus on, yes, an exchange of value, providing an awesome experience for your dance families, whether that is virtual or in person, and you will get paid from that. Then you need to be figuring out, how can I increase the lifetime value of my customer to generate more dollars per customer? How can I deliver more value? What other experiences or products could I offer them to purchase from me that are valuable to them that then increase the lifetime value of those customers? So the personal piece, have you been looking after yourself? Have you been on the quarantine binge where you have been doing a lot of Netflixing, a lot of chocolate, a lot of M&Ms, a lot of Oreos? Have you been looking after yourself? Have you had quiet time? I know it's hard in a house when everyone's at home, but you can do what one of my friends, Christina Guidotti, mentioned to our Inner Circle members at our last retreat. She's like, go in the bathroom, turn on the shower and just lie on the floor for like 10 minutes and say you're taking a long shower, but just like have that time to yourself, right? Are you looking after yourself? Are you looking after your mind, your body, your spirit? What are you doing for you? Because what I know for sure is if you're in burnout mode, if you are exhausted, how are you going to get through the rest of the year, right? There is always more work to do. Can you take the day off? Can you take a day off this week? Can you do no work on a Saturday or Sunday during the weekend? Guys, there is always stuff to do. But think about how you can nurture and nourish yourself so you can turn up to be your best. I know I've had these days where I haven't turned up my best and I've been snappy at my team and, I haven't wanted to be working or wanted to be doing trainings or, that's not a good way. And any day that I turn up like that, I make sure I schedule the next day off. I redo my calendar. I make sure that I can have a day for me. And that really helps me be able to be my best and turn up 100% the following day. And as you prepare for a new season, you're going to need every inch of energy, of fuel possible to be able to have a great new season, because you're going to be working hard, but hopefully you're going to be smart. Hopefully you're going to be investing in resources that are going to help you grow your business during what is going to be a challenging 12 months. And so look after yourself so you have the stamina and the resources to be able to achieve that. So when it comes to the personal piece, let's be real. We know each other here. We're friends now. Let's be real. On a scale of 1 to 10, what are you going to give yourself here? In the pillar of the personal piece, which is all about you, how well have you been looking after you over these last 4 months? How long have you been looking after you? Put your score in. Let's have a look at some of these finance scores. So we have a lot of 5s, actually a lot of 5s, 2 and 3s, a 7, a 5, 7s, 5s, 7s, 8s, great, 7s, 5s. I would say like 5s have been our main score around finances. So there's a lot of room for us to work to get our finances in place. So on the personal piece, I can see 5s, 4s. Go Lydia, 9.5, 4, 3, 7. Yeah, we're seeing a couple of lower numbers here. 8s, 3s, 8s. Jane's driving the beach right now. I love that. Congratulations. 7. 5, 0, 7. Yes. So 5s. So we've got a big kind of range here. And so I just want us to look at these 6 categories. Look at these 6 categories. Programs and products, people and leadership, sales and marketing, operations and execution, finance and personal. Look at those 6 pillars, right? As you look at them, where do you need to spend more time to ensure that your studio survives and ideally thrives over these next 3 to 6 months? Do you need to be focused? And let me know in the comment section, which area do you need to really focus on? Is it in sales and marketing? Do you need a robust system to be able to be generating new students every week in your virtual studio and your in-person studio? You want to fill up those classes that you can do in person. Do you maybe need to focus on your finance? Do you need to work out a new business model that's going to be successful in this new era that we're in? Maybe you need to look at your operations and execution. Maybe it's how you're delivering your online classes. They're not working. People aren't turning up. So you need to relook at how you're structuring those classes. Maybe it is the people and leadership. You need to be a better communicator. You need to get your team on the same page. Or maybe it's looking after you. Hello there, dance studio owners. Welcome to our Coach-A-Thon. Can you believe it? We are already at day number 3. Today is an interesting conversation that we're having. And when I was really thinking about what I wanted to share with you, because it's only 10 days and it's only about 15 or 20 minutes. So I don't have very long, but my goal is to deliver you value that you can take away, that gets you thinking and really ideally gets you implementing so that you can not only survive during this period, but you can really prepare to ride the rebound that is definitely going to happen to our industry. And I want you to be a part of that. The question I get often is, Clint, there are a lot of dance studios out there. There are a lot of people now doing virtual classes, and no longer is my competition just the people around me. Our competition is people in another state, in another city, even in another country. So how do we stand out? And the mistake that a lot of studio owners make is they think that standing out has everything to do with your Facebook ad or your landing page or your website, but it actually starts well before you get into that process of developing a marketing plan. And I'm going to teach you actually in our Student Attraction Challenge how to develop your very own marketing plan. So if you haven't registered already, I just want to give you a little reminder up the top here. Go to dsoa.com/challenge, right? dsoa.com/challenge. It should be at the top of your page there. Go there, jump in, join us for this free challenge. All right, so let's dive into today's training. So there are a couple of things that we need to work on. Actually, there's more than a couple. There's 9. There are 9 things that we need to talk about when it comes to standing out. Who would have thought there's 9, right? Probably some of you are like, Clint, what? There's 9 things? I thought it's just like one thing. I just need to sound different. And that's the mistake that people are making, is they think that it's all about like what you say or the images that you use, but it starts at the very, very core of why you started your studio in the first place. And really, that's the key piece. And so the first step here, and hopefully you're playing along at home with me, the first step we need to talk about is your journey, right? This is the first piece. Who are you? Who are you? Right? We forget this. Please write this down. People by people. People by people. And that's definitely true for your dance studio. Now, while you might not be teaching every class and you're not sitting in the office, that's okay. But the reason the studio exists is because of you. And people buy that. People build credibility and trust with you, whether you're the person that's dealing with them or you're the person that's created the culture in the company. You are a very important figure inside of your studio. So the first step is identifying the studio. And this is about, who are you? And so when I say to you that question, who are you? What do you think about? I mean, this is a really interesting question. What do you think? What comes up for you? Often what we want to identify when we ask this question, who am I? We go to our core values and think of, well, what are our core values as an individual? Before we talk about our company, because this is where it started with you, what are my core values? We might think of like, what do I enjoy doing? How do I like to spend my time? A great exercise to do with this is look at your calendar. Where are you spending your time? Some of that will dictate a little bit about who you are. So the first thing we need to think about, and you're probably like, Clint, this isn't a Facebook ad. You're not telling me how to market. I am. I'm teaching you probably the most crucial piece of how to stand out when it comes to marketing. Because no one does this process unless you're in the inner circle or you've joined us previously in our Student Attraction Intensive program. You haven't gone through this process, right? And that's a mistake. That's why you probably look like and sound like every other dance studio, because you haven't done the foundation work to really get clear. So the first step is, number 1 is journey. What is your journey? Who are you? Step number 2 is the reason. And the reason is, why did you start a dance studio? Why did you start a dance studio? I want you to answer me that question. Why did you start a dance studio? I'm sure you're not including that in any of your marketing, but guys, these are the ingredients. Pretend that we're making a delicious cake. Let's use a cake analogy. I've been baking during quarantine. You're creating a delicious cake. And the thing with the cake is you need to put in the right ingredients at the right time with the right amount of ingredients. That's the same with a marketing plan. And everything that I'm giving you right now are ingredients. Okay, you're saying that you've lost the sound. So I just want to check in here. Let me know. Can you hear me? Jump into the comment section and let me know. Can you hear me okay? Looks like the volume might have dropped. It's saying it's okay on my end, but can you just let me know in the comment section that you can hear me okay? Just want to get that sorted before I jump back in. So while I wait for you, it's very low. Yes, it's okay. Yes, I can hear you. Fantastic. So turn up your volume if you can't hear me. Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Okay, so the reason is, why did you start your dance studio in the first place? Why did you start your studio? And this really goes back to, what was your journey with dance? How did you get started in dance? Like for me, how I got started in dance is I was in choir at school. And during choir, one of my friends said, hey, you should come to dance group today. There's tryouts. And I was 9 and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Sure. I mean, my mom was like, oh, not another one of these things that you want to do. Why don't you want to go and play football? But she was very supportive. But I went to dance group and I tried out for dance group, and I was probably okay. But I was the only boy. So of course they were going to take me at that point. And I was 9 and I fell in love with dance group at school. And then I started going to the local dance studio and started training there. And so that was my journey. So when I had my dance studio that I ran for 5 years and then sold it, I often talked about my journey as a dancer. And then I talked about my transition into studio ownership and why a dance studio. And for me, the reason around why a dance studio is part of that is I come from a family of teachers, people that love teaching. My nan was a primary school teacher. I've always been a teacher, from teaching my cousins in their loft of their house dance and shows, to teaching them Japanese, to going to primary schools, to be an assistant teacher when I was like 15. I love teaching. And so that was in my blood. And that was part of the story that I told when I gave the reason why a dance studio, because I love sharing wisdom. And I'm at the core, I'm a teacher. No longer do I teach dance or my jazz technique classes, or I love teaching dance when I had my studio, and then I was teaching at other dance studios. And now I get to teach dance studio owners. So I get to blend my love of business and the industry that impacts the world on so many levels, right? And that's my journey. That's the reason why I have DSOA. That's the reason I'm a coach and a mentor to studio owners like you. So when you're marketing, imagine, I've just given you 2, right? I've just given you journey and reason. But imagine if you started talking more about these pieces with your studio. Imagine if you did a Facebook Live and said, hey, a parent asked me the other day, why did you start your dance studio? And I noticed that it's not something I've really talked about. And I'd love to share with you a bit of that journey today, right? And you might do a 3 or a 4 or 5 part series around your journey, right? And you will share it time and time and time again. You know, I have not just told my journey once. I tell my journey over and over and over again, because it's important. Some of you on this call, maybe this is the first time you've been on a call with me. Maybe it's the gazillionth time if you're in the inner circle or a DSOA member. Maybe you've been on multiple calls with me and you're like, Clint, I've heard the story. You were 16 when you started your dance studio. You sold it. You did this, X, Y, Z. And I'm sorry if you've heard it before, but there are plenty of people on this call that probably are like, sorry, who are you? Crazy Australian, who are you? And so it's important you keep sharing that journey, because your journey impacts people. Not only impacts people, but it allows people to put up their hand and say, I like you. I want to come to your dance studio. I want to come and do a trial class. I want to enroll in your virtual classes. Journey and reason are very, very crucial elements to your marketing plan. Number 3 is passion. And when I'm talking about passion, I'm talking about what lights you up. What lights you up. I'm not talking about like purpose, this big thing you're put on the planet for your purpose. I'm not talking about that. That's a hard question. I'm talking about passion. What lights you up? What lights you up? Is it teaching class? Is it mentoring your team? Is it seeing the progression of your students? Is it seeing those smiling faces in studio, on Zoom? What lights you up as a studio owner? And this is important. Aside from marketing, which is what we're going to be using this exercise for, it's important for you to continually come back to the exercise of, and this is an exercise in itself, the passion box, is what lights me up. We can do this around our work when we do an audit of our work, right? What continuously lights us up, and talk about what lights you up. I love seeing when our 2.5-year-olds come into class and for the first time, they don't lick the mirrors. That makes me excited. That lights me up. I mean, we can joke about these things, but we can also talk about the deep things that light us up. Like when that student enrolled with us when they were 2.5 and it's graduation and they're on the stage at recital and the videos playing of I'm like getting goosebumps as I talk about this. Their videos playing of the journey that they've had with the studio, the progression. You've seen them through so many different life journeys that they've already been on from 2.5 to 18, and that lights you up. Why don't you talk about that? And these are all stories that we can talk about within our marketing journey as well. And we'll talk more about how we utilize this in marketing inside of our challenge. All right, number 4. Here's where we get into, and sorry if my writing is bad. Journey was pretty shocking, but hopefully you can read value. Number 4 is about value. And this is really, what do you offer? This is where we're getting into like the nuts and the bolts. What do you offer? What do you offer? And so you might go, well, Clint, I offer jazz classes and tap classes. And that's fantastic, but dig a little bit deeper. What else do you offer? Do you offer confidence? Do you offer joy? Do you offer creativity? Do you offer no judgment? Do you offer support? Do you offer mentorship? So there's the thing that you do, and then there is the experience that they have. I want you to write that down. There's the thing that you do, and then there's the experience that you create for your customers. And we want to make sure in our marketing that we're talking about both of these things. We're talking about the features and we're talking about the benefits. And we'll talk a little bit more about benefits a little later on. Right, so what is the value? What is the value? So as you look at these first 4 pieces, journey, reason, passion, and value, I want you to jump into the comment section and let me know, where do you need to do the most amount of work? Where do you need to do the most amount of work? Let me know. Out of these first 4, where do you need to do the most amount of work? Jump in and let me know. All right, let's finish this. I was like, we're kind of like out of time. And I was going to do the rest tomorrow, but I'm kind of thinking we can just do it together right now. Do you reckon? Let me know in the comment section. Do you want me to finish it? Do you want me to finish the rest of this, or should we do it tomorrow? I want to finish it with you because I feel like we're on a roll. So number 5 is uniqueness. Okay, this one is a little messier. So that looks like an O. So let me make that not an O. So uniqueness. Why your studio? So here we are again, getting a little more tactical. What is your uniqueness that you offer? Why your studio? And friends, instead of you sitting there and racking your brain, why my studio? And by the way, you should be able to answer this question, but if you need a little bit of help, go to your customers and ask them, why did you enroll in our studio? Your second question is, why do you stay at our studio? Ask those 2 questions, and right there, you're going to get the answer to uniqueness. You are going to get the answer to why your studio. Go to your families and ask them. You can do this in a simple survey on a Google form and ask the families, why did you enroll in our studio? Ask your families, why do you stay at our studio? You'll get a bunch of different responses, and then you will start collating this great material that you're going to be able to use in your marketing. I hope that you can see just through this very quick process. I mean, we've been 18 minutes, guys, and I rambled at the beginning, so it's been like 10. In 18 minutes, I've been able to help you with a bit of a framework here to get you clearer on how to market, which is going to allow you to stand out. Because what most people do is say, come to our jazz class, heaps of fun, you'll be creative, you'll make new friends, awesome. That's not interesting. Everyone else is doing that, right? And that type of ad may be something you do as someone has entered your enrollment funnel, we call it, or sales funnel. But at the very beginning, you want to build relationship. You want to build credibility. You want them to either put their hand up and say, I like you, let's do something together. I want to come and do a trial class, or say, you're annoying, I don't like you, you're not for me. We want to create both of those results because we're going to draw in the right people, and that means we're going to get the right types of customers joining us, right? That's what we're after. All right, so that's uniqueness. Ask those questions. Why do you enroll in our studio? Why do you stay at our studio? That's going to let people share with you why your studio. Then you'll be able to use that in your marketing. Okay, 6 is moment. Now, this is the one that is missed all of the time in marketing. And moment is important because it's why your studio now. Why should I come to your studio now? Why should I be coming to you now? You need to give people a reason to take action. You need to give people a reason to take action. So in uniqueness, we did why your studio. I add one extra word on there, why your studio now, and it completely changes the meaning because now we have to start kind of getting in the mode of like, well, why now? Why not in 4 months? Right? Why not in a week? Why not next year when they're 3 instead of 2.5? So we want to share why now. The 7th box here is opportunity. Opportunity. Okay, cool. An opportunity is about what are your customers looking for? What are your customers looking for? Now, the great thing about this box, opportunity, is you're going to get some helpful answers in box number 5, uniqueness, when you ask them, why did you enroll in our studio? Why do you stay? Some of that information is also going to help you in this opportunity box, which is what are your customers looking for? What are your customers looking for? Now, you're probably going to have, and if you've done a customer journey or a student or parent avatar, ideal avatar, they're exercises we do in our student attraction intensive program, you're probably going to have maybe 4 to 5 avatars. And so the opportunity, what are they looking for, is going to be a little bit different. And so let me give you an example. You're a 2.5-year-old in the preschooler class. That mother is going to have a very different outcome that they're wanting, that they're looking for, than a potential parent who has a 12-year-old who is a competitive dancer. And so you're going to have multiple answers in here under opportunity. What are they looking for? And this plays into then your marketing. So your marketing can then target your specific customers. Next is 8 is design. Cool. So design is about how do they want to receive your services and products. Now, this is one that used to be, well, they come into our studio and they do a dance class, a group class, or they do one-on-one or a small kind of boot camp class. Now we need to focus on this box even more now than ever, because there are more options, right? We have in studio, maybe with limited capacity, maybe not operating at the moment. And then that's why our virtual offering is so important as well. And so if they want to come along virtually, how do they want to receive that training, that education, that service, that product that you're delivering? So really thinking about each of those customer avatars and then thinking about how do they want to receive our services and our products are crucial. Because if you can talk about these things during your marketing, The marketing does all of the heavy lifting for you. So when they come to you for that trial class, they're a great fit. They're an ideal customer. They know how you work. They know what they've signed up for, versus someone who kind of comes in off the street, who doesn't really know a lot about your business, who hasn't learned about your story or your reason or the uniqueness or the value or the moments or your passion or your opportunities or the design. They're going to be very tricky customers to have as an enrolled student, and they might end up being the wrong type of customer as well. So that's why you need to go through this process. And number 9 is ambition. And ambition is, where do they want to go? What is the outcome that they are after? Where do they want to go long term? So for, a 6-year-old, the parent might enroll their child because they really want them to be better with children. They're an only child. They get a lot of adult interaction, but not a lot of children interaction. So they're very impatient. I was an only child, kind of talking from experience. Very impatient, maybe don't mix well with others. And so the journey for that parent, right, where they want to go is for their child to be able to work with other children, to be able to have conversations with other children, to feel comfortable with other children, to not always want to be in the adult conversations, right? Their ambition, where they want to go, is different to, let's say you're running adult dance classes and their ambition might be to come to lose weight and to get fit, right? Or it could be a competitive student who wants to audition for a ballet company. So you need to understand these moving pieces. Right? What is their ambition? Where do they want to go? So guys, this is what I call our Studio Impact Matrix. I'm going to put it up here for you. Studio Impact Matrix. Oh, look at that desirable handwriting. And you can take a screenshot of this if you like, of course. And so this is really, when I talk about the Impact Matrix, it's really about how do you stand out? How do you make a huge impact so that people are putting up their hand and saying, yes, I want to be a part of what you're doing. Let's jump into today's lesson. And I've told you that it's the biggest marketing mistake that studio owners make, and it is. It is a mistake I see time and time again. But it's not, what I'm going to share with you today is not something we haven't been taught. It's not something that we don't know. We've heard this concept before. You've probably heard it taught in a different way because I go into a lot more detail than is generally given in the world to business owners. But it's this notion of ideal customer. Now, don't go, oh, Clint, I know all about ideal customers. I'm going to leave this call. I want to encourage you to stay because you might know the concept of ideal customer, but you might not be fully utilizing it to its full potential, which means you may be not getting the new students that you deserve because you haven't truly dove deep enough into the concept of ideal customer. So a dance studio is very different to really any other business on the planet. And one of the main reasons is because you have 2 customers. You make one sale, but you have 2 customers. Well, a lot of you do. If you only work with adults, then you've only got one. But majority of people in this training session have 2 customers. You have the student and you also have the parent. And so when you're devising a marketing plan, it is very important that you have clarity around who your ideal student is. And it's not just about saying, well, it's someone that's at 6 years old and it's a mother that can pay their bills on time. Like, that's not an ideal customer and it's not specific enough and you're missing a whole bunch of different elements. So I wanted to run you through this process today. It's a process we go into really deeply in our Student Attraction Intensive program. That's our 8-week program. But I wanted to give you kind of the foundation of an ideal student and this concept of ideal customer so that you can start implementing it into your marketing. So there are a couple of areas that we want to focus on when it comes to identifying our ideal customer. Now, the first thing we need to do with any marketing plan is Okay, what class do we want to fill? It's the first question you need to ask yourself. What class do I want to fill? So I want you to write that down as number one. What class do I want to fill? And if you're sitting here going, Clint, well, I want to fill all of them, that's probably your problem. You've probably been marketing to everyone, trying to do a blanket marketing campaign where you're like, come to our dance studio, it's fun, be confident, and you're targeting 2.5-year-olds to 18-year-olds. You've got pictures of all your different dance styles. That's your mistake, because that doesn't talk to anybody, right? That doesn't talk to anyone. It's like me in our business with DSOA. You know, if we went out there and say how to get new customers, and we work with every type of business owner on the planet, I don't know how successful we would be, right? But the work we do is only with dance studio owners. We are committed just to dance studio owners. We don't have a gazillion other businesses going on, right? We just focus on the dance studio owner. And so in your business, you may focus on multiple types of people, but when you are marketing, you have to talk to them like you're only speaking to them. So that's why the first thing you need to identify is what class needs filling up. So for you, you might have identified, you know what, the class that needs filling is that jazz class that we have on a Thursday afternoon for 6 to 8-year-olds. And that's the next thing that we want to identify. Step number 2 is identifying the age group, So the class we want to fill up is the jazz class. The age group is the 6 to 8-year-olds, okay? This is the first piece. We've done step 1 and step 2. And we can go really deep into each of these steps as well. But I'm just giving you the overview here so you can get started. So we've identified, okay, what class do I want to fill? I want to fill our jazz class, and it's for 6 to 8-year-olds. The next thing we need to look at is our ideal student. So I want you to think now, if you do run a jazz class for 6 to 8-year-olds, what are the qualities of those ideal students in that class? What are the ideal qualities of those students? Maybe they're committed, they show up early, they have energy, they're enthusiastic, they have no attitude, they get along well with others. They're a team player. Yes, even at 8 to 10s, we want them to be team players. List out, and we want to list out about 10 to 15 qualities of our ideal student. And this is a great exercise you can do with your teachers, because you're probably not teaching all of the classes as an owner. Well, I hope you're not. And so going to your teacher and getting them to do this exercise is so helpful. Because guys, what we're doing here is we're building another foundation block for your marketing plan. You know, we did the impact matrix yesterday, which talked about your story and how to position yourself. Today, we're getting clear on the clients, the customers that you want to attract. And this all builds on each other, and it'll all come together when we do the student attraction challenge. So you want to fill the jazz class. It's 6 to 8-year-olds. You've got the ideal qualities of the student that you want to work with. Now, the next thing we need to identify are those ideal qualities in the parent, in our ideal parent for that age group. So think about that. What are the ideal qualities in that age group when it comes to the parent? Do they just drop off their child and cause no hassle? Do you really never hear from them? Are they not creating drama and chaos? Are they paying on time? Do they trust you? Do they put their faith in you? Are they supportive of the decisions that you make inside of the studio, right? What are all of these qualities that these parents have that make you go, yes, you're my ideal customer? And that's all we're focusing on here. We're focusing on those ideal customers. And the best way to do that is to pinpoint a customer you already have that you love and write out their ideal qualities. And again, you want to list out 10 to 15 ideal qualities for this parent. Now, the last thing that I want to touch on, which is generally forgotten, is the ideal qualities of the teacher that teaches that class. What are the qualities of the teacher that teaches that class? Now, this doesn't generally get spoken about or talked about, but it is really important when we start putting together your marketing plan, because we can use this in our copy, We can use this for story angles in our marketing campaigns. It's awesome. So you want to list out about 5 to 10 for your teacher, qualities of your teacher that teaches that class. Really important. So you've got the style of class, you've got the age group, you've got the student qualities, you've got the parent qualities, and you've got the teacher's qualities, right? So there's 5 things. How many? 5. There's 5 things that you truly need to focus on to start building this ideal customer avatar. And in our SAI program, we're going to media habits and shopping and buying and hobbies and a whole bunch of other stuff. We have a couple of pages where we run through that whole ideal customer avatar process. Because here's the other tricky thing for studio owners is you'll have at a minimum probably about 5 customer avatars that you need to create. And they will each go through a different customer journey. And so this is the place that you need to start. And then you can replicate, this is the basic process, but you can replicate it for any classes that you want to fill. Now, the other thing you can do here is when I said to you, like, what class do you want to fill? And you might go, okay, Jazz. And then you might say, okay, 6 to 8-year-olds. And then you might actually look at your 6 to 8-year-old classes and think to yourself, actually, you know what? Like the jazz class is empty or needs filling, but so does the ballet class and so does the tap class. And that gets you thinking about the campaign that you will then build, because you can include different styles in a campaign, even though you're targeting like the same people. And so that's kind of where we get a little more into the actual mechanics of the marketing campaign. Because if you can imagine, as you start back the new season, you're going to need to run at least, we normally do like 5 to 10 campaigns at the one time that you'll probably run. Now, the offer and the promotion may be the same depending on the age group that you're targeting, but you'll need to run multiple versions of these. And this is why I find that people, when I say to people, when they're like, oh, Clint, I haven't got the amount of new students that I wanted. And I say, well, tell me your marketing campaign. And they kind of like go blank, like all the color comes out of their face. And they're like, and I'm like, that's why you don't have students, like new students. It's actually very easy to get new students through the door, but most people haven't been taught how to build out a concrete and promotional campaign that brings new students in the door and gets them enrolled. And that's because everything I'm sharing with you here, this kind of foundation, very the beginning pieces of building your marketing campaigns, no one's doing any of this. And guys, like, this is just the very beginning, right? But that's why we can get, when I look at our Inner Circle members who have increased their student numbers by 50 up to 300%, I think they were about 311% in a year, is because they follow this process. So today's topic is really about the 4 areas that you should be focused on if you want to attract new students into your studio. Now, these are the foundation pieces of marketing. And as I've been sharing with you, this week and next week is all about setting the foundation so that when we do the Student Attraction Challenge, the 5-day challenge that I'm running, we'll be able to dive really deep. As well, because we get to spend like an hour and a half every day together. So I can't wait for that. But I'm giving you the foundation so that we can then build on the building blocks. We can build on it. Because what I've noticed is when people talk about attracting students and enrolling students, is they go straight to something like, oh, well, that means I need to do a Facebook ad. Well, yes, but a Facebook ad is a tactic. It's not a strategy. And before you do the Facebook ad, there's about, I think we counted about 160 tasks that you need to do before the ad if you're looking at creating a marketing campaign. And so the ad happens as a byproduct from you building your marketing campaign out. It isn't in isolation. And that's why a lot of people have zero or very small success with their Facebook ads marketing, is because it's not part of a strategy. They're using a tactic, which is the Facebook ads marketing, as a strategy. And that's a huge mistake, costs you a lot of money, and you don't get a lot of results. And so that's what we're reversing as we go through these different trainings. So today I want to share with you my core 4. And the core 4 are the 4 things that you need to be aware of when it comes to marketing your studio, when it comes to attracting and enrolling your students. So hope you've got a pen and paper handy with you as we dive into this. So number 1 is you need to have a website. And you might think to yourself, well, Clint, that sounds like super obvious. I have a website. But here's the thing. It's not a Wix website that you've built yourself. It's a website that is created to convert new customers. So you can have a website and it could look pretty and you've spent a lot of money on it, it has beautiful photos, but if it isn't laid out to convert new customers, then you have wasted a lot of time and probably continuously wasted a lot of energy and money on this web platform. So the first thing you need to make sure you do is you do have a website, but you need to make sure that it's set up to convert customers. So things like when you go onto the homepage, what is that IFG, that irresistible free gift? How are you capturing email addresses? How are you capturing details from people that are visiting your site and then incentivizing them to take some type of action to get them in class? And there's about 15 irresistible free gifts, IFGs, offers that you can provide to your potential customers to get them interested. And I think day 2 or 3 inside of the challenge, I'm going to be walking you through those offers. So getting clear on what those offers are on your website are important. You can have multiple offers depending on the different pages you've got on your website. But the key here is if you aren't organically getting inquiries every single week from your website and you're getting visits to your website, you can see the visits through Google Analytics, and they're not converting to inquiries, then your website is probably set up incorrectly or not as effective as it could be. We want to see anywhere between 10 to 15, at a minimum, 10 to 15 inquiries coming through your website, new student inquiries every week. And that's on the lower end. That's organic without paid traffic. And you'll get that if your social media and your organic content is directing people to your website and you've got the right calls to action on your website to get people taking action. That's our goal. That's what we want to aim for. The second thing is a blog. Now, you probably have a blog on your website, but maybe you don't update it with content. And a blog used to be like, it's kind of merged a little bit. Now, a blog is like our news section of our website, as well as us building yourself, the studio owner, as an authority in your space. That's predominantly what our members, our Inner Circle members, our Student Attraction Intensive Program members are using a blog for, is to build authority. I mentioned to you earlier this week, people by people, and it is important that you are seen as a local authority in the dance, in the child education space if you work with children. And so that's what a blog is really great for, is to position yourself, share your wisdom. There are plenty, if you're not a writer, that's okay. There are plenty of websites that can write articles for you. You share with them your ideas that you want to share in the article. They'll write it. You can tweak it. Lots of really great tools online that you can do, that you can work with to create this content, but you need to be producing content, right? You need to make sure that you are producing content consistently, at least once a week. You want a blog article or a video or something going up that then you can splice into different assets. So we call content like assets. So let's say, for instance, you write a blog about how dance is keeping children healthy during quarantine, right? So you write a blog. Maybe it's about 700 words. You can then take that blog and you could read it, so it becomes an audio piece. You could film it, so it becomes video. You could turn it into quote cards. One of our modules actually in our Student Attraction Intensive program during week number 5, I talk about a content calendar, how to map out a whole month of content. And within that, we talk about creating different assets from one piece of content. And so it's not about producing more and more and more new content. It's about cutting up the content that you have created in an effective way that drives new inquiries. So that's why a blog is really effective in driving interest in your studio, because it can also be put not only on your website, but it can be put on your social media channels as well. So that brings me to the next piece, which is social media accounts. You want to make sure as a dance studio owner that your dance studio has a Facebook page. It also has an Instagram profile. They're the two places that parents are hanging out the most. We want to use social media for acquisition and also for retention. And so we want to have those things set up. We also want to ensure that we have a group set up on Facebook for our families as well. There's a couple of ways you can do this. You can have your whole community inside that Facebook group. You can create a community-only Facebook group as well as a parent Facebook group. So there's a couple of different groups that you can set up, but the first group you should have on Facebook is a group for your family members. And then the question is around the content that you post. And the content for your current customers needs to be really about education, communication, adding value, which allows them then to purchase more products and services from you, which also allows them to stay longer, which increases the lifetime value of the customer. That's the key in that group. Then you've got your Facebook page. Let's be honest, not many people are seeing that anymore, but it's good for us still to continue posting content on our Facebook page. And we've got the content anyway because we're repurposing it across multiple different channels. Then you've got your Instagram profile for your dance studio where you've got IGTV, you're doing stories and also feed posts as well. So they're the main things. You want to make sure that you become a master of one of those and then have a secondary platform. So I'd be a master of either Facebook or Instagram and then have a secondary one. We've talked a lot about TikTok inside of the Inner Circle. We actually had, some of you might know Gary Vee. So D-Rock, who runs all of Gary Vee's content, and his content team spoke to our Inner Circle members a couple of months ago about how to create and work with TikTok, which was fantastic. But it might not be necessary for you to be on TikTok. At this point in time, as I told you on Tuesday, when we talked about finances, is you need to ensure that you are focused at the moment on revenue and profit, that you're investing money into things that are going to give you a return on that investment. So education, ads, marketing, potentially team, if there's an ROI there. So those things are really, really important. But TikTok isn't probably the place you want to be or start learning about at the moment because it's not going to give you a return on investment at the moment. It might be a good long play strategy, but it's not where I think you should be spending your time at the moment. And the last tool we'll talk about is email. Email marketing is unfortunately something that studio owners, and I'm kind of doing like an average here, don't do very well. And this is a huge mistake because, for a healthy dance studio and not in a big city, let's say we're in a mid-sized city, I'd want you to have a database, at the lower end about 5,000, but really good would probably be around 10, right? So we want you to have an email database of about 10,000 people, and that should be growing every month by 200 to 500. That's your new lead acquisition that you're bringing through, and having that sit in an email system like an Active Campaign. I mean, that's kind of the best priced program at the moment, or Drip or MailChimp. But you want to be actively doing email marketing every single week. And email marketing is different. You'll have email marketing for your current customers that's going to educate them, communicate to them, and share with them additional services and products that they could purchase, which increases the lifetime value of your customer. Or you'll be doing email marketing to those people that have put up their hand and said, yeah, you know what? I'm interested in coming in for a trial. I'm interested in that online guide that you produced. I was interested in that blog and you then got me to opt in for a free online gift. So there are multiple ways that you can use email marketing. Again, these are things we discuss in our SAI, our Student Attraction Intensive program. But these are the core four that you need to start with. And once you've got that, then we build on those. But this is the foundation. You do not need to jump straight away to a Facebook ad. ads are important if you want to grow your studio. There is no way that you will be able to increase your student base if you are not spending some money on paid media, right? That's like full stop, that's it. But you need to have these foundation properties in place to amplify the results that you're going to get with your paid media. So if you've got this in place, if you've got a conversion website in place, if you've got a blog going, right, and you're utilizing that content, if you've got social media happening, if you've got email marketing software set up, you're going to get a much better result on your ads than if you just did an ad randomly. And people probably here have done random ads and they're like, oh, I spent $50 and I didn't get anything, right? Because you did a tactic in isolation and you're expecting it to get you a result that you would have got if you mapped out a full strategy. So they're the 4 core things. Let me read them back. Website, blog, email marketing, social media accounts. That's where we want to start.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Dance Studio Doctor, powered by the Transform My Dance Studio podcast. Don't forget to join us over in the Dance Studio Owners Hub Facebook group for more resources and support in growing the dance studio of your dreams while reclaiming your life.